All rolling here, both lanes connected. Mid 3. Up. Look out the windshield, Denny, instead of the air. You alright, bro?
That one was really big.
And what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Historic Hot Laps. I'm your host, Alex Daniels. We're going to do this one a little out of order today. There's some news stuff I want to talk about, a little bit of rant and raving probably to kick this episode off, and then we'll get back into our normal routine. But as a lot of you know, Formula One has released their 2026 race schedule, and in true F1 fashion, they have put the Montreal / the Canadian Grand Prix on the same day as the Indianapolis 500, which is Memorial Day weekend and has been for over 100 years. Where do we go? Okay, so there's zero chance that this was an oversight. We all know that. It's truly probably an attack on the growing momentum that IndyCar has gained with their Fox partnership. I'm going to rant here for just a minute because this is really dumb in all regards. For one, nobody's going to turn off the Indy 500 to watch the start of the F1 Montreal race. Green flag time for that race is 90 minutes after the green is scheduled for the Indy 500. Obviously, weather delays, anything can happen, right? We know how that goes with Indy. True feelings, this is only going to hurt the Formula One ratings in the North America region. Now, why would you do it? Does Liberty Media think they're going to be entitled to some sort of viewership? Is this like an entitlement syndrome that they've got? They think they can do some damage to IndyCar's momentum. And, you know, in the European market, maybe they can. I know a lot of guys over in Europe like to tune into the Indy 500 because of the history and the legacy that it is, but on a normal weekly basis would choose to watch Formula One over IndyCar, and that is what it is. And so we support everything in this podcast, but it's just a frustrating situation that you took what was a great day. Now, especially, they had Monaco, right? In Monaco, the time difference, it all worked out. That got moved. So now we've got to have a filler to another North America race the same time as the Indianapolis 500. Then you have the Coke 600. I don't know. We made a lot of comments on Twitter and things like that, but it's just, what gives? You know, what is it really going to do for them? Their viewership is going to be dog like compared to IndyCar that day. IndyCar might not pull some great numbers sometimes. They're on an upward trend. Obviously, we've had some rough patches, some rough goes, whatever you want to call it. But in their first year in Fox, they're already up average of 40%. Then that's going to just carry into the next year. And then does the Formula One think they're going to compete with the NASCAR crowd? Because that's not going to happen. We already know that. So, I mean, you're going to catch an overlap on both ends. If everything goes to the exact time frame it should, there's a little less conflict with the NASCAR race, maybe the Coke 600. But I don't know. That's my little rant on that. I think it's bullshit. Liberty Media thinks they're entitled or something. I don't know what it is. Like I said, I don't know any of them. I don't work for them. Clearly, I don't understand why you would do that. If you lift one, you lift all, right? So I don't understand why you try to compete in the biggest market on the biggest day in motorsports. It doesn't make sense to me. It's just going to hurt them more than anything. And not to mention that, there's a lot of crossover fans. And not to mention crossover fans, you've got crossover staffing. You know, you've got a lot of Formula One influence and vice versa. I don't know. It feels like it's intentional. I'm sure it is, but we'll leave it at that for now. I just don't understand it. While we're on the news subject, Formula One, let's talk about Cadillac. They have narrowed down their driver lineup to a very short recruitment list. An insider at the Cadillac F1 effort said that Perez, Bottas, Zhou, and Mick Schumacher are the finalists in Cadillac's eyes to join them on the grid in 2026. Also, while we're talking about Cadillac, they did mention their first big name sponsor for the Cadillac F1 program, and that's Tommy Hilfiger. So they'll be plastered all over the brand on that car, those cars, excuse me. And yeah, I mean, good momentum for Cadillac. Kind of sad we're probably not going to see a crossover from IndyCar in there, but it's to be expected this day and age, right? Like they're not going to change how they feel about IndyCar drivers and everything else. But let's talk some IndyCar news. Apparently, per Marshall Pruitt last week, David Malukas is already under a Penske contract as a development driver. This was the rumor ever since he signed with the Penske-affiliated AJ Foyt Racing Team. However, this adds a little more sureness to the subject, if you will. This doesn't mean we will see little Dave replace Will Power in 2026. However, I would not rule that out. But it does mean that at some point we'll see Malukas in a full Penske spec car. So, yeah, just some we already kind of knew, but kind of got a confirmed thing there from Marshall Pruitt. Valtteri Bottas has shown, first of all, he's a stud in the F1 paddock, greatest mustache in the game. But he has shown some consideration in considering a switch over to IndyCar if he cannot land something strong in Formula One. He will probably go to Cadillac. I feel like Cadillac should be trying to steal his talents. But he'll be welcomed with open arms over at IndyCar if he does get the opportunity. So we'll see how that goes, who to play out for on that. But let's talk some NASCAR real quick, just real short. It's been announced and debuted in Michigan that the Dodge Ram truck brand will be making a return to the Truck Series starting in 2026. There's no team information that has been decided as far as we know, but it's exciting to see another manufacturer working with NASCAR. We know they've talked about, there's this rumor maybe Honda may be coming over, but they can't build the V8 like they run now. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that all goes, but the Ram truck brand will be in the Truck Series next year, and that's awesome to see. No idea team information or anything like that, but we'll just see how it all plays out. I have a feeling that Cletus McFarland's probably got something to do with this as well. Will we see him at Daytona in a truck which says Ram on the front? Probably. That's the rumor. We'll see what happens. Last little thing for news today, more lawsuit talk. We've got 2311 Racing, Front Row Motorsports versus NASCAR. Basically, the injunction that was being held for the teams to compete under their existing charters during this process was appealed by NASCAR a while back. Well, the appeals court finally saw it. They ruled in favor of NASCAR. The team should not be chartered for the 2025 season. This is just going back and forth, on and on. I don't think it's ever going to end, but I don't believe there's even an actual trial date set for this lawsuit and the discoveries and everything until December of this year. So you're going to be done with the championship and wrapped up before any of this even happens. So yeah, just another big step. I get both sides of it. I mean, we want to see good stuff in NASCAR, and we want to see the teams taken care of, and we want to see a good charter program to keep, the sport alive, and the private ownership by the France family kind of makes that tough. So I don't know, a lot of opinions on that for everyone around, but that wraps it up for the news for us today. Please don't forget, we like to ask quite a bit, but please like, share, subscribe, follow the podcast on all your favorite platforms, all your different media groups. We're on almost everything now. We are on Threads now as well. Probably need to get back on the TikTok. That was a whole mess, but we'll get there. But always, if you like what you hear, please like, share, subscribe, do it all. Do all the things, click all the buttons, and we'll keep this momentum going. We appreciate it. Let's jump into some stuff over there in Michigan. NASCAR Michigan weekend with the Truck Series and the Cup Series. Starting off with the Truck Series, at the end of the first stage, Corey Heim made a smooth pass on Hocevar. It was a thing of beauty, really. Getting himself another playoff point. This makes 10 stage wins so far this season for Corey Heim, which again, he can't leave around numbers, so he takes the second stage win. No surprise to anyone there. Then lots of action towards the end of it. Contact with Hocevar and Chastain in the third and final stage. Chastain made a huge save on that. Restart with 4 to go turns things into an absolute disaster. Chastain gets pushed in a bad way. Almost looked like he got a slow start too. I don't know if he spun the tires or what happened, but he gets turned right at the front of the field. We know how that goes, just calamity everywhere. This takes us into overtime. Another caution comes out for a cut-down tire on Daniel Hemrick's truck. So now we're talking a 2-lap shootout with another overtime finish. Do we think we can get this one done in the second overtime? We already know the answer. No, can't get it done. Another caution and another overtime restart. Finally, we see a green-white checkered that sticks with us. Third overtime, we see history as Stuart Friesen ends up taking the checkered and gets the win. He was nowhere all day, really. I mean, he was just kind of mid-pack, just doing his thing. But when he countered, he made it happen, taking it off the restart. So awesome stuff there to see him and that team get some success. They've been down in the dumps quite a bit lately, but congrats there.
I thought Corey was going to take it. I was like, no way is one of these three in front of me going to give it up. And, Chris Lambert's my spotter. He's, obviously Denny's on Sunday and the best in the business. And we just had a little chat, and I'm like, man, if nobody takes it, I'm taking it. But if Corey takes it, I'm going to line up third on the top. Just because I've lined up third on so many restarts here lately, it feels like, and you just get pinched in the middle 3 wide, and it's just a tough place to restart from. In my shoes. So, when Corey lined up behind Grant and then, Ben lined up behind him, I'm like, all right, we'll give ourselves a shot at it. If it doesn't work, we get swallowed up in the middle, whatever, we had a shot and we took it. So, it feels really good to, we just got a really good launch. No idea what was going on behind me. Chris, called an awesome, last 2 laps there, and we were able to get clear. Granny raced me super clean, and appreciate him for that, and it worked out.
Moving over to the Cup Series, starting out we saw William Byron looking quite strong, taking an early lead with about 10 laps to go in Stage 1. Chris Buescher made a good move, takes the lead right towards the end. He holds it to the end of the stage and gets his first stage win of the year. Super important for Buescher and that team. He was looking really strong. He was probably the strongest overall car of the day. Stage 2, we saw a few lead changes. Blaney Elliott had a good little battle. Larson put some pressure on Hamlin. Hamlin made a huge save after a little contact with Larson, little fender rub. Custer ended up getting loose on a 3-wide deal, and Bowman took a huge hit to the wall, head first, just nosed into the wall. I haven't seen the impact report on that, but I'm sure it was pretty wild. Thankfully, he is okay, but man, that was a hard hit. Stage 2 ends up with Byron getting more playoff points and a stage win there. Takes us into Stage 3, the final stage, caution number 7 of the day. We saw all the leaders come in to do a pit during that caution. I believe it was around 30 laps into the stage. Made a real shakeup of the strategy, and super heartbreak for Hocevar. Following that, he had the lead and lost a tire, cut down his, I believe it was left rear, and ruined his day. Now, granted, this turned into a fuel save kind of race, and he didn't have enough fuel to make it to the end without another caution. So had he stayed out there, he probably still wouldn't have won it, but you never know, right? Anything could happen, but he ends up bringing out a caution and ruining his positions there, trying to limp that thing back on a flat tire. Now, he did a good job. He saved it. He didn't lose it, so he didn't trash the equipment, he's showing his maturity as the season goes on. With about 5 laps to go, Hamlin takes the lead from Byron. He held it strong until the end, getting another win for the Joe Gibbs Racing number 11 team. It's their 3rd win of the season. Hamlin's trying to knock on 60 wins in his career. An interesting article by Kyle Petty talking about he could be the last driver to really do the 60 wins. It's not as easy to get a win now. I mean, you still have a Larson and whatnot coming up. He's still got a lot of time. Denny's still holding it down at 44 years old. So congrats to him on that. Pretty awesome. Just super awesome to see.
Truthfully, I thought our chances of winning were pretty much dashed when we had a little slower stop on the last one. I think I restarted around 12th on that last restart, and then just picked them off one by one. I mean, I just tried my best. That was not the best my car was handling on that last run, so I thought we were going to be a little limited by traffic. And the way our car was, we had some damage on the right side of our car from the pit road incident on that last stop. So things were not optimized, to say the least. And but we just were very beneficial of some guys running less than 100% up front until we got there. Then they raced 100%, but it just worked over the guys one by one. Just tried to give them so many different looks to surprise them entering the corner, to try to, everyone's trying to predict where you're going to run, and with these mirrors in the cars nowadays, they can just kind of, even if they guess wrong, they can just switch lanes in the middle of the racetrack and really hold you back. But, I just got close enough to Byron. I saw the part of the racetrack where he was most vulnerable. And so I just started setting up, how can I get as close as I can to him at that vulnerable spot of the track, and then use aerodynamics to my advantage versus his. And that allowed me to get up beside him, surprise him into turn 1 down on the bottom, and get him off the bottom and go side by side and take the lead.
Let's talk World of Outlaws. We had a couple events this week. Midweek race at Jackson Motorplex. Carson Macedo claimed the victory, leading the race from 12 laps on. Kerry Matson finished in 2nd place, closely trailing Macedo throughout the race. David Gravel ended up taking the 3rd place spot as the series points leader as well. So pretty awesome midweek race there.
Once you got to traffic, you got so tight. It was so easy to get rolled up, and then you enter behind a guy and it just takes you right. And every time I would get up off the bottom, I feel like I would just spin up there and then marbles and crumbles. And man, I feel actually a little bit, my heart rate's a little bit up. I feel like I had a little arm pump there. It didn't take much to, throw the wheel out of your hands. It seems like a couple of times I'd get tight behind a guy and then hit a hole, and it would jerk the wheel around, and I'd have to grab back on and hold on as tight as I could. So
Then Friday night went to Plymouth Dirt Track. They hadn't been in this track in Wisconsin for something like 20 years, which was super cool that they went back there. Rico Abreu emerged victorious in this one. He led all 35 laps of the feature. He had to fend off a lot of guys, especially Kofoid, who ended up finishing second after a lot of back and forth with Abreu. Tyler Courtney ends up securing third place, followed by Carson Macedo in fourth, and Brad Sweet actually in this one in fifth place. So congrats to them.
Hats off to this team, the track prep crew. They did an amazing job tonight. Just so fortunate to be racing in Wisconsin. The best fans in the country here. Everybody's so loyal and passionate. And thank you, World of Outlaws, for putting a race on this weekend. You know, this team, they do an unbelievable job, and we put ourselves in position, and that's what makes everything happen right. And I just tried to really focus on Kyle's starts there at the beginning of the race, and at least just stay on his outside. And the one he kind of took off a little bit better than I did, and we really worked on the ground clearance of this thing to launch off the corners. And we changed some stuff around before the dash, and really felt like we had something there, just pace wise. And
moving over to high limit sprints on Wednesday, series visited Red Cedar Speedway in Wisconsin. Sweet dominated the race, securing his 9th win of the season. Then the following night, they went to 141 Speedway, which is in Maribel, Wisconsin. Travis Aarons, a local mechanic there, surprised all by winning against everybody, including Larson and Brad Sweet. So local guy taking the prize. $26,000 victory on that one. So awesome when you see a guy hit his local track and beat the pros, right? The guys that do it constantly and 100% of the time. So congrats to that. Super cool that Travis was ended up getting that win on that one. This moves us to our final event of the episode that we're going to recap here. This moves us over to Eldora Speedway. We don't cover a lot of late model stuff, but the Dirt Late Model Dream Weekend is kind of a big one. We saw Jonathan Davenport ended up getting the victory on this. This is his 4th Dirt Late Model Dream win, 3rd consecutive victory in this tournament race setup. He dominated, finishing with a huge margin over everyone else. Bobby Pierce rebounded from a mid-race flat tire to finish 2nd. So that was cool to see. Nick Hoffman ended up getting 3rd place in this as well. A lot of lead changes and battles at the beginning before Davenport ended up just taking it all over. Top 5 results, you had Jonathan Davenport, Bobby Pierce in 2nd, Nick Hoffman in 3rd, Tim McCready in 4th, and Devin Moran in 5th. So congrats to all of them, and what a decent weekend in racing, honestly. I guess. We had a lot of midweek races as well, so pretty awesome.
Well, I thought Brownstown was hard to win at. This place is damn near impossible to win at, and especially to do it over the 32. He wins every damn weekend, and James, I'm kissing you on the mouth again. Man, we've been good here recently, and a good thing we hot lapped again. I'm glad it rained out because I probably never won this deal. We hot lapped there and wasn't very good, and through what we knew was going to be close. We didn't know if it was going to be close or not, but it worked, and 30,000, holy shit.
All right, let's talk some history on this one. This one will round off the episode and kind of tie towards a couple different series here. So we're going to talk about Jody Scheckter this week. Jody David Scheckter, born January 29th, 1950, from South Africa, competed in Formula One from 1972 to 1980, and he's a champion. He remains the only African driver to have ever won a Formula One Grand Prix or a Drivers' World Championship. So pretty awesome. So let's talk about it. Born and raised in East London, Cape Province, Scheckter rapidly ascended through the ranks of motor racing. Upon moving to the United Kingdom in 1970, he debuted in Formula One. From there, he actually, even though moving to the UK in 1970, he debuted Formula One in the US Grand Prix in Watkins Glen in 1972 with McLaren. So starting out strong there. He ran as high as 3rd place before spinning out and finished 9th, becoming quite a name right out of the gate. He continued his development with McLaren the following year, winning the 1973 SCCA L&M Championship and racing 5 times in F1 that season. His 3rd start in Formula One was in France, and he almost won it before crashing into Emerson Fittipaldi, who was the reigning world champion at the time, where Emerson didn't have a lot of nice things to say after all that happened. His next start at the British Grand Prix over there in Silverstone, Scheckter spun out, triggered a major accident which took nearly a dozen cars out of the race. The Grand Prix Drivers Association demanded his immediate banishment, which was only put off when McLaren agreed to rest their driver for 4 races. Schechter's McLaren M23 bore the number 0 during the Canadian and American Grand Prix of 1973. Scheckter is only one of 2 F1 drivers to compete under this number, which is kind of a cool thing as well. The other one being Damon Hill. During the practice for the American event at Watkins Glen, Frenchman Francis Severt was due to be Schechter's teammate in 1974, was killed in an appalling accident at the fast uphill Esses corners. Scheckter was behind Severt when he crashed and stopped his McLaren, got out of the car and attempted to help Severt out of his destroyed Tyrrell chassis, but the 29-year-old Frenchman had been cut in half by the circuit's poorly installed Armco barriers and was nearly dead. That's super gruesome. Witnessing Severt's dreadful accident left a mark on the South African racer, caused him to abandon being so reckless when he raced and much mature and calculating as a driver. The Tyrrell team in 1974 gave Scheckter his first full-time drive in Formula One, and he rewarded that by getting a third-place finish in the Drivers' Championship and a pair of wins he won in Sweden and Britain that year. He scored points in 8 consecutive races. During this time, that was one of the longer scoring streaks of its generation. Following that, he had a slight off year. He did become the only South African to win the South African Grand Prix, which was pretty cool. Then following in 1976, he finished off in 3rd place again in the Drivers' Championship. The team over there at Tyrrell introduced the most radical car in F1 history, which was a 6-wheeled Tyrrell P34. Although Scheckter ended up going on saying the car was a piece of junk, he did win with it in Sweden's Anderstorp circuit, and in 12 races with the car, he scored points 10 times. So it was a piece of junk, but it was successful for him, I guess. He actually also raced this in a long lead battle race at the American Grand Prix between James Hunt and himself. So a good race between friends. Scheckter left for Walter Wolf's new team in 1977, and Scheckter gave the team a win in its very first race. He won twice more with the team and was often on a podium. Finished second in the points behind Niki Lauda. A 7th-place finish with the team in 1978 followed, and he left the team after season to join Ferrari, the team's 312 T4 car. There was a lot of stuff in the press, and a lot of critics were thinking that he wouldn't get along well with the domineering management over there at Ferrari, but he far surpassed expectations and helped give Formula One's most recognizable team another Constructors' Championship, while Schechter's consistent finishes, with 3 wins among them, gave him the Drivers' Championship in 1979. However, he struggled badly in 1980, trying to defend his title, even failing to qualify for the Canadian Grand Prix. After managing only 2 points, Scheckter announced his retirement from the team and the sport. Scheckter was the last driver to win a Drivers' Championship for Ferrari until Michael Schumacher 21 years later in the year 2000. So, pretty wild little run he had going there. He also, post-race life, had a broadcasting career. In 1981, CBS hired Scheckter as a pit reporter for the F1 coverage they were doing. Scheckter was also brought in by ABC's Wild World of Sports as a pit reporter for the 1983 Monaco Grand Prix. Scheckter was a guest commentator for ITV during the 1999 San Marino Grand Prix, replacing Martin Brundle for that race. Scheckter won the World Superstars competition in 1981, taking place in Florida. He defeated athletes such as Russ Francis, Ronaldo Nehemiah, Peter Mueller, Rick Barry, Gaydon Boucher, and Andy Ripley. He actually had some other businesses after his racing career. He founded a weapons simulation business in 1984 called Firearms Training Systems, whose revenue eclipsed $100 million by the early 1990s. Very successful businessman. The company built firearm training simulators for military, law enforcement, and security organizations. Just a smart dude, ahead of his time. Scheckter spent his time as a farmer as well, having bought 2,500 acres near Overton, Hampshire, 40 miles southwest of London. He was an organic farming expert. Was featured in 2005 on the Vision Health DVD and TV docu-series Asthma and Integrated Approach, Arthritis and Integrated Approach, and Diabetes and Integrated Approach. He also appeared in 2011 on the Country File television show to make a case for organic food. Leverstock Park Farm was also featured in BBC's Escape to the Country, where Scheckter showed viewers how buffalo mozzarella was made. Just this guy's wild. In December of 2009, Scheckter announced his intention to produce a sparkling wine by 2012. In 2015, the farm was a setting for ITV's Sugar-Free Farm, where a group of celebrities had to go sugar-free for 2 weeks while working on the farm, little reality show over there across the pond. In 2024, the farm ceased dairy production and buffalo farming, with operations at its compost plant not affected. The farm would continue to host Carfest. In 2004, Scheckter is married. He's had 6 children, 2 from his previous wife and 4 from his current marriage. Unfortunately, he did have a daughter pass away in 2019 at the age of 21. He sold his firearms simulation company, which provided funding to allow Scheckter to help racing careers of his son, Thomas and Toby. Thomas raced in the IRL, or the Indy Racing League, where he won 2 races. Scheckter's older brother Ian also raced in Formula One. Let's talk about some awards, and then we'll talk about some stats. In 1983, he was inducted into the International Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't even know that existed, but he was, he was part of it. His active years in motorsports, as we mentioned at the top of this, 1972 to 1980, he drove for McLaren, Tyrrell, Wolf, and Ferrari. Entered 113 races and started in 112 of them, not qualifying for that Canadian Grand Prix. He won a championship in 1979, total of 10 wins over his career, 33 podiums, 246 career points, 3 pole positions. He was awarded fastest laps at 5 different races. And started out at the U.S. Grand Prix in 1972, like we talked about. Ended his career at the United States Grand Prix in 1980. So pretty crazy. His last win was actually a 1979 Italian Grand Prix, which for Ferrari was probably pretty awesome. So just a wild guy. I can't say that there's a lot of these history subjects we cover where the guy was a firearms expert and also a organic farmer in the same career while pursuing racing for his sons. And just insane. Super, super insane. But another one, thank you for what you did for motorsports and the memories. And as always, please like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, do whatever you got to do. Let's keep this momentum going. We appreciate the listens. And we've got a good week ahead of us, so we'll get ramped up for some more racing. Stay safe, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to follow us at Historic Hot Laps on X and all your other social platforms for the latest updates and sneak peeks into upcoming episodes. You can reach out to us directly at historichotlaps@gmail.com. Send us your feedback, questions, comments, opinions, and additional subject matter you'd like us to cover. Thanks for tuning in.